Hello and welcome to this webinar, Accessibility, Inclusion and Reaching All Learners. This is an annotated video of the previous live session that happened on Tuesday the 16th of June, just showing you the main points and the instructions to enable some of the accessibility features we cover. The Apple philosophy defines the true value of a device not by measuring how powerful it is, but by how much it empowers you. And so at Apple, they work to make every Apple product accessible from the very start, ensuring their devices are accessible for everyone. There are a lot of embedded features. I have identified some of the most useful within a mainstream primary setting for the purposes of this webinar. All the features and tools we are using today are part of the general or accessibility menu within the Settings app. The Magnifying Tool. The Magnifier Tool allows you to turn your iPad or iPhone into a magnifying glass for real-life objects. Firstly, open Settings, and in your left-hand menu, select Accessibility and select the Magnifier option in the top vision box. From here, turn the magnifier on. From my home screen now, I can use the Magnifier Tool. If I have an older iPad, it's a triple click on your home button. On new iPads, triple click on your side button. This is not your volume buttons. 1, 2, 3. I can now choose Magnifier and immediately it opens up within itself. So what this allows me to do is, if I have an object I'm investigating in class, I can zoom in closer to see some of the details of it. This could be really good for art. It's also good for everyday use if you struggle to read packets when you're out shopping. This is a really good app to use. Similarly with things like recipes, it can help you zoom in and out of text as well as objects just by using the slider at the bottom. You also have this feature in the bottom corner called filters. Depending on your visionary issues, you might do better with a white-blue background, yellow-blue, grayscale, yellow-black, or even red-black. For each one of these filters, you can also change the brightness and you can change the intensity of the colours to help you see objects more clearly. When you have selected the filters that are best for your vision requirements, turn the filters off and you can lock them in place, meaning the Magnifier app will remember what you have selected the next time you come to use it. You can also take a photo by clicking the circle button in the centre, and then this stops the screen shaking about if there's something specific that I'm trying to look at. And I can also save that as a picture by holding down my finger on the screen and press the save image. That's now an image in my photos. If I tap the screen again, I can turn the photo, the still option, off and can carry on moving around to the object that I'm having a look at. Next is the zoom tool. The zoom feature will magnify your screen, whatever you are doing and whichever app you have open. Once again, open Settings, Accessibility, and this time we are going to look at Zoom. Select Zoom and make sure Zoom has been toggled on. Back on my home screen, to enable the zoom feature, I will use my 3 fingers to tap on my screen. 1, 2, 3. And a black choice box pops up. What I'm looking for is to choose my region. So at the moment, my zoom option is for full screen, but I might want to start with a window screen. So if I press zoom in, You can now see I've got this little magnified zoom window that I can take around my screen to look in detail at anything. This works within apps, so I can use this to work in Word and Excel. If a window isn't appropriate and you need the whole screen enabled, you then change your region to view full screen. You can see instantly now my whole screen has become larger, and I can use my 3 fingers sliding across my screen, left, right, up, down, to move around. Again, this would work within books, it would work within Word, it would work within most apps because I'm magnifying the screen. And to turn it off, it's the same process and select zoom out. If your students have vision challenges, you might find it beneficial to allow them to customise their display settings with larger text. Once again, we're going to go to Settings and we're going to go to Accessibility and we're going to select Display and Text Size. If I select larger text, which is the second option, I have this slider that I can move along, and you can see straight away in the menu on the left hand side what this does to the text size. So I can choose something that's appropriate for me and my abilities. If it helps, I can also make text go bold. That might just help with certain vision issues that different students may have. This doesn't affect the app size. To change, as you can see on my main screen, all my apps are still the same size. It's just the text that has become larger. So to change the app size, there's only 2 options here. But I go to Display and Brightness on my left hand side menu. And then at the bottom in View, I have 2 options, Standard and Zoomed. If I need larger icon or app sizes, then I need to select Zoomed instead of the standard size, and this will make the icons much bigger. When you do this, it does require a system reset, so just ensure that you are not in the middle of something else when you select Zoomed. If your students have colour blindness or other vision, concentration, dyslexia challenges, colour filters can support them by differentiating what they see on the screen. The colour filter can also change the look of pictures and movies, so remember you can always turn this feature on and off where appropriate. To enable this feature, once again, you're going to go to Settings and you're going to go to Accessibility. We're going to go to Display and Text Size, and we're going to use Colour Filters. When I toggle my colour filters on, you are unlikely to be able to see the effects as this is through screen recording, but if you are trying this on your iPad, you'll be able to see immediately the effects that these colour filters have. Mine is currently on colour tint, which is really good if you have colour or light sensitivity issues. And you can use these sliders to change the intensity and the hue of the filter. For a more subtle colour change, you might want to use a blue-yellow filter, a green-red, or a red-green. And again, on each option, you can change the intensity of that more subtle colour change. I would recommend that we allow children to make our own choices with regards to colour filters. There may be a reason why a child chooses a particular colour filter that may not be obvious to us. This is a very individual customisation option. With keyboard dictation, you can dictate text into any app that you can type in. This is beneficial for writers who struggle to get ideas on paper or forget what they're going to write. When used in balance can support reluctant writers or for those with large volume of documents to produce, for example, teacher comments on report. Once again, we're going to go to Settings and we're going to go to General. In General, I'm then going to go to Keyboard and I'm going to enable Dictation, which is towards the bottom of the menu. Currently mine is enabled, and there we go. If I then go into a Pages document, and bring up my online keyboard, you can see that I now have a microphone button attached to my keyboard. Once I press this, the software will then start recording what I say. You can simply click the keyboard icon in the middle of the dictation bar. It does take practice, but we've had some real particular success of using this for children where writing or typing proves physically difficult. It also reduces time if you are writing reports. Using dictation can dramatically reduce the amount of hours you spend doing this. Dictation is available in any app you can type in, so it will be available to use in Word and PowerPoint and Keynote, as well as the Apple apps. Vocabulary and terminology can be confusing. For students where reading can restrict progression or they are auditory learners, Speak Screen can enable independence in research and task completion. Once again, we go to Settings to enable this option. We are going to the Accessibility menu and we're going into Spoken Content. We're going to ensure that we have enabled Speak Selection and Speak Screen, and we're going to turn Highlight Content on. Now, if we open a document such as a books document, when I want to use Speak Screen to read my entire screen, I use 2 fingers and I pull them down from the top of my screen.
Drawing 1. Create your own word art that's meaningful to you and a creation unlike anyone else's. Objectives: understand lines, the basis of drawing. Make patterns and lines that...
So you'll be able to see those blue blocks move across the letters and the words as the Speak Screen is reading the text. This is because we use the Highlight Content option. To enable Speak Screen, we pull straight down from the top. If you just wanted it to read a sentence, you could highlight just one sentence or even one word, and if you select Speak, it will just read
Understand lines, the basis of drawing.
So Speak Screen will read the entire screen and everything on it. Speak Selection will just read the line or sentence or paragraph that you highlight, and the Highlight Content button will read along with you, which is really beneficial for early readers. The voices you may want to change. Again, this is an individual preference. You may want something that is a little bit more enthusiastic, a little bit more familiar for the children, that they are more comfortable with. To enable different voices, back in Accessibility and Spoken Content, you can make a choice of the voices that you want to use. I currently have an English voice, and I recommend that if you are selecting voices that you used enhanced versions. Daniel's original version,
Hello, my name is Daniel,
doesn't really make much use of punctuation cues when reading, and it's very monotone. When I used an enhanced
Hello,
version,
my name is Daniel.
The voice is more expressive and will understand cues like commas for a pause and full stops and add that into the speak screen for you. You can customise this to your preference, so there are male and female voices with different accents, so it is very individual and personal which people select. Vocabulary and terminology and the amount of new language that children need to learn can be very confusing. We can make use of the integrated dictionary definitions to help with spelling, punctuation and grammar. Inbuilt dictionary is a very underused tool within Apple Accessibility. Often children will use Siri, which within a classroom context isn't always appropriate as it disturbs the children around. This is a real quick, independent way of children being able to use a dictionary with their learning. So once again in settings, this time in the general menu and in keyboard, dictionary. And then I've got 3 dictionaries that I have enabled. Depending on language, there are lots and lots of different choices. What this means is if I am in Pages, if there is a word I am not sure of, when I select that word, I now have the word define in my options. And it will bring up a dictionary definition of what that word means, including some synonyms and some antonyms and origin. Dictionary will also work on web pages. For example, if children were doing science and were unsure of the meaning of the word fossil, here we select the look up option rather than define. And we have got lots of different options and different links there explaining to us what fossil means. Again, including some antonyms and synonyms and even some suggestions on further websites for further research. This is available across the device, so again, if you're using Word or PowerPoint, you will still have dictionary definitions embedded within them. They're not specific to the Apple apps. Next, we're going to look at Safari Reader. For students, navigating the web can be a sensory overload. Safari Reader reduces the visual clutter. It strips away adverts, buttons and navigation bars, allowing you to focus on just the content you want. You don't need to enable anything in settings for this feature, but if you go to a web page, what you are looking for in your top menu bar is either an A and an A, or often it's a square with some lines showing that this web page has the Safari feature enabled. Not all web pages do, but a vast majority of them have this feature. So by selecting AA and picking Show Reader View, which is that square and lines I mentioned, you'll see immediately the change in the web page. All those adverts have gone, those distracting colours, and I'm just left with text and pictures, which is a lot more user-friendly. I have other options. If I tap this bar again, I can change my background colours. Again, this really helps children with sensory issues or visual issues. I can also change the size of my text, making it larger and more able to see. I can speak screen by dragging my fingers
No
across the
speakable
top.
content. Fossil tracks left by an ancient crocodile that ran like an ostrich by Jonathan Amos, BBC Science.
Or I could just select specific sentences for it to read.
Scientists have been stunned to find that some ancient crocodiles might have moved around on 2 feet.
I can use my dictionary here. And I can also use markup. So if I select my box with the arrow and scroll down to the bottom for markup, I can highlight text, I can underline it, I can identify keywords that I'm going to look at. I can also use this add tool here and the magnifier to go and look in more detail at a picture or an element of the text. If I'm looking at providing some information for children that you can use as research, I can also save this document now as a PDF and save it directly to my iPad. It's in a really good printable version without those distracting ads and buttons. Guided access helps people with autism or other attention and sensory challenges stay focused on the task at hand. Parent or teacher can limit the iPad to stay on one app by disabling the home button. Because I am screen recording, I will be unable to show you the process of how to use the Guided Access app, other than what you can see on my screen currently. When you have enabled it, you triple click your home button, select Guided Access, and then select the Start button. You can circle areas on the screen that you want to disable, that you don't want to allow children to enter, such as a parent-teacher zone or a chat area, or using the options you can set a time limit as well. To enable the Guided Access function, you will need to open Settings, and in the accessibility area, Guided Access, make sure Guided Access is turned on, and then think carefully about your passcode settings. If you're in a classroom setting, you need to think of a code that both you and the members of staff within that setting will remember. If you are at home setting this up for a child, a passcode that the children are not going to automatically guess is a really good suggestion. If children have issues with controlling the iPad due to dexterity problems, you may want to consider Assistive Touch options. This can be used as a replacement for multi-finger gestures or button pressing, such as taking screenshots. Assistive Touch has many different features. I'm just going to show you one short part where we can set up a shortcut for taking screenshots, which is often very difficult for younger children when they have to press a home button and a power button at the same time. There are more functions, but these you will have to investigate further. So to do this, you open Settings and Accessibility, and you're going to enable Touch. Turn your Assistive Touch on, and then on this menu we're going to go to this double tap option. When you select your double tap option, there are lots of things that you can see you can make happen when you press this black square button with a double tap. We're going to select Screenshot, and what that means is with my black Assistive Touch button now, if I double tap that, 1, 2, you can see it's now taken a screenshot of the page. There are lots of other features to have a look at within Assistive Touch. I certainly recommend that it's one you go and investigate further. Voice control is a very powerful feature. If appropriate, you may want to investigate it further following this video, but this is an overview of what it can do and what it can achieve and what it means.
Voice control is a breakthrough feature that gives you full control of your devices, with just your voice, period. It's a whole new way to do everything you love, period. Like this. Correct love. 16. Open photos. Scroll up. Show numbers. 13. Click share. 3. Tim. Next field. Let's try this one today. Thumbs up emoji. Click send. Open maps. Show grid. Long press at 20. Open app switcher. 4. Tap share. Tap Tim. Tap send. Hey, good to see you. Open music. Turn up the volume. All right.
So you can see that voice control can be a really powerful feature for children with physical issues. If you'd like any further guidance on this feature, please contact me after the webinar or use the accessibility resources on the Apple website for further information. I hope that listening to this webinar you are able to consider how you might use some of the features you've seen to provide a quality of access of learning in your classroom. If you are working towards your Apple Teacher accreditation, today's webinar will encompass part of what you will learn for the iPad badge. If you've already achieved your Apple Teacher accreditation, I recommend you go back to your Apple Teacher Learning Centre to have a look at some of the new resources that are available and updated regularly. The upcoming workshops for the West Midlands Apple Regional Training Centre are iMovie, GarageBand and Numbers. Thank you very much for tuning in to Accessibility, Inclusion and Reaching All Learners. Thank you.